All right, let's talk Massachusetts payroll withholding. All right, another state where I did some research and got this thing as accurate as possible. So, Massachusetts is a little bit complicated because they allow you to deduct a little bit of your Social Security and Medicare up to a certain point, up to $2,000 for the year. So it requires a little bit of complexity in the formulas and how to calculate this because we have to use those amounts when we're figuring out what the taxable wage base is for Massachusetts. So when you're looking at what your employee fills out, they're going to fill out the form M4P. They're going to write their personal exemption. If they're married, they're going to put a 4 or a 5 here. They're going to write the number of qualified dependents here, and they're going to add everything up and put an exemption number right here, which is going to go right here, what your exemption number is. You do not have to choose a filing status for you because they're kind of deferring to the federal filing status here. So there's a head of household or a single in this instance, and different exemption amounts are going to apply based on your federal filing status. So you don't have to fill one out for Massachusetts. You could just leave this blank, but you do have to fill out the federal from the federal W-4. So as we get into the actual formulas about how this was done, what you need to do is you need to annualize your wages, but you also need to figure out if your FICA and your Social Security and your Medicare are over $2,000 already, your year-to-date Social Security and Medicare added together. So you have to put that condition in the formula, which is what I have here, this KK4 plus KS4. Those columns are where we are logging our year-to-date Social Security and year-to-date Medicare withholdings. And if they're over a certain amount, if they're over $2,000, you're not going to deduct any Social Security or Medicare from the wage base, which is being taxable. So that's what that formula is doing. The next formula is figuring out what the actual exemption amounts are. They are $4,400 for the first exemption or $3,400 for each additional exemption allowance that is completed on that Massachusetts form. And then also, if you're head of household, there's a special additional deduction of $2,400. So we add the $2,400 if the person is a federal head of household designation. And that gets what your exemption amounts are. And then your tax is pretty easy after that. It's just 5%. So the key things to know about Massachusetts are get your form M4P filled out correctly, get the proper federal filing status in there, fill this thing out, and you're going to be pretty good to go from there. $4,600 in wages is about $208.17 according to this. It ends up being, I've been testing it against Paycheck City because Suburban Computer has just not been accurate on this because it's too complicated with the Social Security and Medicare deductions sometimes because it's dependent on your annual Social Security and Medicare that has already been withheld throughout the year. So it's complicated to do just a one-off pay stub and have it calculate correctly. But I have been comparing with Paycheck City, and this thing is extremely close, like within $1 every time. So it seems to be working accurately, and Massachusetts is just another one of those complicated states. We'll see if they update their Circular M, this form for 2023. If they do, we will revisit that and update any formulas because there are additional things in here which I haven't talked about yet. So there is state paid family leave in Massachusetts for employees of companies that are over 25 employees. I do not have that built in here. However, I do have a state disability and as well as paid family leave, which is applicable in Massachusetts. I do have a placeholder for that. So if you have over 25 employees with your company, we can put in, I believe it's 0.68% is generally the employee contribution, and that would come out of their pay. But I did not want to program that into this basic file because a lot of small businesses are using this for less than 25 employees. So it is not built in there, but it is an add-on that could be built in if you have more than 25 employees and you're operating in Massachusetts. So that's the crux of how you calculate Massachusetts tax. It's about 5%, but you've got to get your taxable wages right by properly calculating your exemptions, as well as properly deducting the Social Security and Medicare up to that $2,000 for the year, and then no more, in your annualized taxable wages to get your tax withheld. So that's Massachusetts. We are continuing to roll through states at record pace. Massachusetts is done, revised as of January 2020, which is this release. We will wait to see if they release anything later this year. Other than that, we are on to Maryland, which has a lot of different counties and a lot of different taxes. So we're moving on to the next state, heading down the coast into Maryland. Good luck. Payroll should be easy, and we're making it so.